Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Moving Markets Podcast. It is Monday, the 30th of June, 2025. Today was the last trading day of the first half of the year, so it's the end of the quarter, end of the month, and the halfway point for the year. So markets finished up very nicely. We got a good strong finish to the month of June, good strong finish to this first half. The first half was shaky, to say the least, but a good finish to the first half. Kind of brought us back to maybe a slightly bullish or at least not a very negative year to date. I know the S&P and the NASDAQ are officially bullish on the year, not by very much. When you've got a big, when you start out, you go up a little bit, you get a big dip like this, you get back up. You're from the day you started this trading year till now, you're only slightly bullish, but this has been a good 2.5 month run from about the midpoint of April till now. It has been very, very solid. You can credit, there's some different things you could give credit to. You can credit some optimism around some of the policies going on from the government. You can credit some smart people in business who are finding ways to make companies profitable, even in the face of tariffs, even in the face of some other things going on. It might just be longer term optimism. Maybe you're not crazy about what is going on immediately, but you look down the road and you say, okay, this is a little tumultuous right now. It's a little scattered, but it looks as though it's going to pay off. It looks as though it's going to do what we wanted it to do in the long run. So there could be some different reasons for that. The next possible leg up, what is going to, in my opinion, determine whether we get a strong third quarter and a strong second half of the year, is going to come down to largely come down to what happens with the bill that Congress is working on right now. The Senate is in the midst of debating things right now. It's then got to go back to the House. The future of this bill is a little uncertain in the House. They can only afford to lose a few votes in either body, in the Senate or the House. And there's absolutely right now, I think, no guarantee this bill is going to make it through. If you were watching Discord this morning, I put out my 2 cents on this bill. I personally think that sometime this week, we're probably going to hear that the July 4th target, there's hope that something can get done in the Senate, give the House enough time to hold a vote by the end of the day on Thursday so that the president could actually have a signing ceremony for this bill on Friday, which is the 4th of July. The symbolism of that, I will admit freely, the symbolism of that would be really, really cool. I would like to see something like that happen. I think the probability of that happening is a little on the slim side. I'm not going to act as though it can't happen. If I had to wager money on it, I would tell you that either the Senate or the House, if it makes it out of the Senate, then you're going to have some Republicans in the House that are going to grandstand, make a showing, double down on their own personal wants, and they're not going to look at it in the broad context of this would be good for the country, it would be good for our party, might make it a little tough for my next reelection, but this is the right thing to do. And I think you're going to have a handful of Republicans who are going to have a hard time seeing that, and therefore a hard time voting for it. So whether or not it makes it through to the chance of being signed on Friday, I'm a little bit skeptical. And I think as we get through tomorrow, as we get into Wednesday, if it starts looking more and more like they're not going to make Friday, you're going to see a dip in the markets. You're going to see things slide and come back, not a long ways, not something ridiculous, not something that's going to be stressful. I think the S&P, for example, you might see it pull back to this level of resistance at 6,050 that it had to kind of push through. And you'll find similar lines of support or resistance on the Dow and the Nasdaq. But I think you will get at least that little bit of pullback if that were to happen. But then I think what Republicans will try, and especially the White House, what they will try really hard to do is shift the narrative to say, well, July 4th would have been nice, but really it's the end of July that is kind of the deadline because of when Washington, D.C. politicians go on recess and everything closes through the month of August, and they get, their vacation that is, so fought for and so hard earned. Anyway, I am being very sarcastic in that comment. I hope I'm wrong in this. I think I put this on Discord. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Senate gets it together and passes this thing in its entirety. And I hope that the House can find enough that they like in what the Senate did to go ahead and pass it and approve it. And I think a 4th of July signing ceremony for this bill would be absolutely phenomenal. Look, there's things in this bill that I don't like. I've expressed an opinion before on the SALT deduction. Hate it. Wish it didn't exist. Wish we didn't even have to have a conversation about it. But I do understand that there are Republicans in some very swing districts in places like New York and New Jersey and Massachusetts and Connecticut that if they can't make a fight for that, they're never going to get reelected, and Republicans could very easily lose control of the House of Representatives. They have such a slim majority right now as it is. So I understand why it needs to be in there. I wish it didn't have to be in there. I don't like that there aren't some more drastic cuts based on the things that Elon Musk and Doge found. I would like there to be some deep cuts to some spending in some areas, and there wasn't as much of that as what I had hoped for. But there are enough good things with the permanency of the tax cuts, with the defense spending, with the budget for the border and for deporting people that are here illegally. I think those things, you've got to get those things through. And I think the tax cuts alone are going to give such a jolt in a positive way to this economy that I think it actually will help to overcome some of the other things that people are worried about. At some point in time, Congress has got to make a decision that they're going to cut back dramatically on spending. And I don't know if that's going to happen in my lifetime. I think the political machine in Washington has become such that those people who could vote to rein that in are the ones profiting the most from the way it is right now. And, short of a full-on revolution, I don't know that it would ever change. So I don't know what the answer is to that. But I think that has to happen at some point in time, or what is coming in this bill is a temporary fix in terms of spurring the economy and growing the GDP, but it's not going to be a long-term fix because Congress will find a way to get their hands on more of that money and continue to spend it recklessly. I'm just fearful. I know that's cynical, but I'm fearful that's what's going to happen. All right, so with that said, I'm going to shift gears. You may have already seen this. We decided not to send out a new trade for the Signal newsletter today. I hadn't planned on sending a new trade for Triple Play. However, I found something that I really liked on Palantir. We closed a profitable trade on Palantir and in the money bull call. I found another one of those that I really liked today. So I did another one today, even though I had not initially planned on doing that. So we added one Triple Play trade, but no new spread trade for the main SOS program. And I sent out an adjustment to a collar trade on SoFi. Make sure you take a look at that. And that's going to be it for this week. I'll make adjustments if needed to any open trade that we have, but I'm not going to send out anything new in the way of another spread trade. I will probably add one or two collar trades this week. We're getting close enough to earnings now that the timing is about right to get into a couple that I've been looking at that I like. So at least one, maybe two new collar trades this week. Now, to wrap things up today, this is not going to be a very long podcast. To wrap things up today, I am looking ahead at my week. I'm looking at some things I've got going on with family. I'm looking at some projects around my home. I'm looking at some upcoming travel in a couple of weeks. And with Friday being a day off of trading, I made kind of a last minute decision that I am going to partially take the rest of this week off. it's basically Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And all that means is that I'm not going to be doing any more podcasts this week after this one today. I will be on Discord in the morning when the markets are opening. I'll be back on when they're closing. Maybe a couple of those days I'll be paying attention all day because I can do that off of my phone. I will be answering personal emails that I get, instant messages. I'm not going to ignore any of that stuff. But the next 3 days in a row, I'm not going to worry about getting online and doing a podcast. I'm going to kind of just enjoy and relax a little bit this week, looking forward to a big holiday weekend, arguably second or third biggest holiday of the entire calendar year. Some people might debate fourth. You've got Christmas, you've got Thanksgiving, you've got New Year's they're going to vie for those top three spots. For me personally, 4th of July next to Christmas is the biggest one, and I actually put Easter right up there, very, very close to Christmas. So these are it's a big holiday, and I hope it's a time that I know we have a number of students that members of the program that are not in the United States. Just enjoy the break, enjoy the time off. And again, I'm not going to disappear this week. I'm not going to be like fully on vacation. I'm just not going to do any more podcasts this week. So this is going to be it for the week, and then we'll be back on Monday and back into a very, very normal weekly schedule for the foreseeable couple of months. No major holidays, no market closures for the rest of July and through the month of August, and so I won't be taking any time away during that time either. But no podcast for the rest of this week. And look, we're looking good. All of our portfolios are looking good. Great move up recently on SoFi. So I sent out an adjustment. We're closing a couple hundred of our shares. We're going to sell, close all of our short calls, add a smaller number of contracts of new short calls, and I'll put all that together in this spreadsheet that you're looking at right now, and make sure that's available for everyone to look at. But make sure you go on the website. Make sure when you listen to this, you log in. For those of you that are full SOS members, go into the website and scroll down here to this collar trade adjustment right there. Also, in the Signal newsletter, which is on the website already, it is right there. So if you're logged in and you just scroll down below the podcast to the Signal newsletter, it's basically a one-page newsletter this time. There's the that's an NVIDIA spreadsheet adjustment. I will update that. That's got the wrong URL in it. I'll fix that. This is the one that's supposed to be there. By the time you're listening to this, I will have fixed that. So that'll all be good. All right, I'm going to wrap up right there. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. We'll see you back here live on Tuesday. Recorded podcast on Monday afternoon next week, and live on Tuesday morning. Thanks. Bye-bye.